The moment Ethan stepped deeper into the mansion, he felt the air grow heavier. His flashlight beam cut across the decayed wallpaper, revealing dust, rot, and silence so thick it seemed to press against his chest. But the portraits were what froze him in place. They hung on both sides of the whole Wogrand, gilded frames housing men, women, and children long gone. At first glance, they looked like ordinary 19th century paintings, faded with time. Yet the longer he stared, the more disturbing they became. Their eyes, they weren't still. They followed him. Wherever he moved, dozens of painted gazes tracked his every step. He raised his camera and snapped a photo. The flash lit up the hall for a fraction of a second, and his stomach dropped. The photograph showed something the room didn't see. Every portrait's face was turned toward him, staring, mouths twisted into faint smirks. He blinked, checked the hallway again, and they were back in their original positions, heart pounding. Ethan whispered to himself, "It's just my imagination." But then he saw it. One portrait was different. It showed a man who looked uncannily like him, same jawline, same eyes, only older. The skin was pale, lips blue, eyes sunken as though drained of life. Ethan stumbled back, his flashlight trembling in his grip. A sudden draft whispered along the hallway, carrying words that weren't his own. "You came back." The voice was soft, almost tender, but it echoed inside his skull like a memory that wasn't his. Ethan turned sharply, scanning the shadows. Nothing. Only those painted eyes. He forced himself to keep moving, his steps creaking against the floorboards. The hallway seemed to stretch longer with each stride, as though the house was growing around him. When he looked back, the door he had entered through was gone. Only more portraits filled the walls, their painted faces grim and knowing. "Don't lose it," he muttered to himself. "It's just a house, just an old house." But the words felt hollow, even to him. At the end of the hall, a staircase spiraled upward into darkness. The steps looked weak, their edges splintered, but something pulled him toward them. As he placed his foot on the first stair, the portraits behind him whispered in unison low, garbled, like dozens of voices speaking at once. He froze. Slowly, he turned his head, expecting nothing. But every portrait had changed. The people inside were no longer calm and painted. Their mouths were wide open, frozen in silent screams. Their eyes bulged with terror, all of them staring directly at him. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to run back down the hall, to claw through the walls if he had to. But the staircase seemed like the only way forward. He took another step upward, and the voices hissed louder. Step after step, the whispers grew into frantic chanting. His flashlight flickered, throwing warped shadows across the walls. He glanced down just once and nearly lost his balance. Every portrait below had shifted again. Now, every single one wore his face. Dozens of Ethosans stared back at him, each with a different expression: rage, despair, mockery, sorrow. All of them painted, all of them alive. The beam of his flashlight sputtered out. The whispers ceased. Ethan stood in perfect darkness at the top of the staircase. The silence so absolute it rang in his ears. Then, faintly, from the unseen corridor ahead, came the sound of something breaking. Glass, a mirror, and it was waiting for him.